evening. I'm Greg Halliday, founder of Solle Naturals. Excited to be here with you and excited to spend 30 minutes in our favorite time learning a little bit more about these wonderful products. With us tonight is Dr. Alison Caldwell-Andrews. I want to thank her for spending time with us this evening, for sharing some of her wonderful knowledge. And Alison, as much as anything, I just appreciate the fun you have while teaching. So I'm looking forward to laughing a little this evening. You're not going to hear me laughing in the mic because I got to keep it down over here. But I know we'll all have fun and we'll learn some good things tonight. So for those of you who may be on for the first time, Dr. Caldwell-Andrews is former faculty at the Yale School of Medicine and research faculty, and has done much in terms of publishing in adjudicated journals and research. I've been involved in a variety of projects in this area for many years, and with Solle Naturals has been really the key scientific advisor toward developing Solle Excell, the product that we're going to talk about tonight. I just want to publicly thank Alison for her vision and for her work on this product, and I look forward to hearing a little bit more about it so that we can share this and help all those that we come in contact with this great product. So with that, Alison, welcome this evening, and I will turn the time to you.
Thanks so much, Lon. Sorry, Greg. I'm looking at your name and I'm reading Lon on the screen. Anyway, it's always fun to be able to do this, and I'm especially excited to talk about Excell. I was talking to Greg earlier and this evening, but also earlier last week, and talking about Excell and just kind of expressing how I could talk for so long about this product. There are multiple webinars within here, so I'm just going to touch on a few things, whatever I can hit in 30 minutes. Hopefully we won't get too far into the weeds, or if you like that stuff, maybe we'll get just far enough in so that you're kind of happy about that. What I really want to first start off with is an understanding of what Clarify really means. We talk about Excell as a Clarify product, and what we are doing is we're talking about a way of approaching health. This is really different from traditional medicine that has a symptom approach. But a clarifying way of approaching health is really saying, look, your body ends up with debris in it just as a result of modern day living. And so it's really hard to live in the world and not end up with some debris. And your body is designed to get rid of debris very well. Your body is amazing. And so when you're clarifying your body, what you're doing is you're removing what's getting in the way of your optimal functioning. Clarifying your mind, clarifying your body, clarify your lungs, it's all kind of the same idea. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about approach to healing for a moment, because I think it's really critical to understand this approach so that the products can be used to their best, to their utmost. There's a lot of potential here with the Excell product and with the other Solle Naturals products. And if we treat them as if they're just one little plug for one particular hole in the wall, we're losing a lot of their capacity. And so with Solle Excell, we're looking at something that helps clarify the body. And if you think about what some of your top clinical concerns are, we talked a little bit about this in November at our convention in New Orleans. But we'll talk a little bit more tonight. I'm not going to review very much of that information. I'm going to add a lot of new stuff. So we're thinking about nervous system problems, depression, anxiety. Those are very, very frequent problems. They affect the rest of your body. The endocrine system affects your entire body. And a lot of times we think about the endocrine system in terms of various diagnostic categories. So we'll think of someone who has diabetes and someone who has thyroid problems and someone who has adrenal insufficiency as sort of like three different things, when really they're all bound up in your whole body system and in the endocrine system. Your respiratory system is linked to your whole body health. Your circulation is linked to health. When you clarify the problem, what happens is you're looking at helping your body solve itself. You're supporting the body in its own natural functioning. So a focus on symptoms, just fixing symptoms, will lead you to just managing symptoms. And the way I like to think of it is like that game Whack-A-Mole. I love the game Whack-A-Mole. It was always so fun to be able to hit all those different I was pretty good at it because I had good reflexes. And I think being a musician helps with that sort of thing. But that symptom focus, playing Whack-A-Mole is not how you want to treat your health. It gets really confusing, it gets overwhelming, you're on a ton of different things to address a ton of different things, and it's a big mess. When you clarify, what you're doing is you're creating a really holistic opportunity. What I mean by holistic here is a way to approach things from multiple pathways that have a lot of good data support. Clarifying leads to strengthening your body, not weakening it. Here's an example. Did I lead ahead? Yeah. Okay. Here's an example. Let's talk about Hashimoto's disease. A number of people have this disorder. It really results from inflammation of the thyroid. It's an autoimmune disease where your body is sort of attacking your thyroid tissue, and it's inflamed. And what the result is that you have decreased thyroid functioning. And a lot of times what happens conventionally is people just will treat the decreased functioning and add a thyroid hormone or add a medication that substitutes for a thyroid hormone. So thyroxine kind of a thing. But the thyroid still is inflamed and continues to kind of go on its destructive way. And so we know that that's not ideal. Maca is a part of Solle. Maca is a herb that helps support the endocrine system, but it doesn't directly add more thyroxine to the thyroid. And so when you take that symptom-based approach to health and you say, okay, well, can I use, that's not how it works. It's not like this is thyroxine here in a box, or that it's some magic thing that suddenly turns into thyroxine in a person's body. So it's not the same thing as taking a thyroid medication. Maca will help your entire system work better, your endocrine system in particular, because it provides these key nutrients and key alkaloids that will impact your whole endocrine system. So it's not a treatment for Hashimoto. And I want to be really clear that we're not talking about specific diseases and specific treatments here. This is supplements, herbalism, ways to help your body attain functioning, well-being, good health. It's not a way of saying we're treating disease. And so be really careful that you're not starting to fall into the trap of treating disease. That's not what we do. That's the realm of physicians. So we're not practicing medicine here. We're practicing good health. So maca is not a treatment for Hashimoto's disease. It's an herbal food. It positively impacts the endocrine system. And we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about how it does that. So you have this amazing endocrine system. You could learn about this for 10 years and still come up like looking for more. It's really an amazing system. And a lot of that is because the pieces and parts of the endocrine system seem to be connected to so many other things. So in our minds that are sort of stuck in a conventional mode of thinking, we're very proscribed in how we see the endocrine system, like this one little piece here, and then you've got the respiratory system over here, and something else in another place, like we divide it up into pieces and parts, and then allocate it out to different physicians. You take care of one, you take care of the other. And so major endocrine glands are also parts that work with other areas of the body too, but they're connected to the endocrine system. So the hypothalamus, for example, is one of the keys to the endocrine system. But it's also a part of the limbic system. And when you think about the limbic system in the brain, which is sort of the seat of memory and emotion, and it is where we have emotional memories, it's where we react to things, it's where we have our feelings, motivation, those sorts of things. The hypothalamus also as a part of the endocrine system is really critical. It's the beginning of what happens later throughout the body. The pineal gland, the pituitary, the thyroid, the adrenal glands, the pancreas, it's a very large system. Metabolism is connected directly to the endocrine system. So it's through creating hormones that your metabolism is run. And so you can't really affect your metabolism without also affecting your endocrine system. You want to think of these things systemically. The endocrine system uses hormones as well as neurotransmitters to send chemical messengers. And so some of the substances that are sent out by the endocrine system count as hormones. Some of them count as hormones and neurotransmitters, and some of them are called neurohormones. So they sort of cross the line there. And here's your limbic system. So you can see that the hypothalamus is a big part of that. So here's a little picture. This picture actually doesn't contain nearly all of the information I'm going to tell you, but it gives you a little bit of a framework to look at. I just want to help you see the complexity of what we're doing here in the system. It's very complicated. And a lot of times what happens is we think we understand a pathway, but what we don't see is that the pathway is affected by so many different things. So we can't simplify it and say this, then this, then this. I only have one extra pathway added in there. There are multiple ones. So let's start with the hypothalamus. What we're really looking at is the end game being affecting your body functioning. So the hypothalamus will send TRH to the pituitary. And then the pituitary will listen to the TRH and make TSH. And that will stimulate the thyroid to then make some thyroxine along with some other thing. But that's not the only thing that happens here. So if there's a little bit too much TRH from the hypothalamus, what that does is the excess of that lowers your dopamine. Lower dopamine then results in higher levels of prolactin. Higher levels of prolactin then result in lower levels of this top hormone out here, GnRH. GnRH is a neurohormone that affects your reproductive functioning, your women's menses cycle, luteinizing hormones, the follicle stimulating hormone, progesterone, egg release, that sort of a thing. The other things that affect GnRH are leptin, which we think of as, oh, well, where's that? Where does that come from? Leptin and ghrelin are the hormones that are affected by appetite, or that affect appetite, and that can be stored in your fat and are created by your fat cells. If you remember, there are times when we talk about extra fat being its own endocrine gland because it produces hormones as well. Insulin also stimulates GnRH. Too much insulin will lead to a disorderly polycystic ovarian syndrome, for example, disorderly luteinizing hormone, FSH. What happens when GnRH trickles down, you get, it goes to estrogen or testosterone production, which regulates your cycles. More of that then will inhibit the GnRH, and all of these things are systemically involved. You get more complicated when you look at other amino acid peptides that also directly affect GnRH. You have follistatin, which is produced in all of the tissues, which inhibits some of the things that GnRH is producing more of. The more and more you see this, the more and more you see that this is incredibly complex. TRH is not only affecting their pituitary and causing it to increase the TSH, but it also acts as an antidepressant. It also acts as an anti-aging. It has a fundamental role in metabolism. Sorry. Greg, did you have any comments?
You know what? I'll let you get a drink, Alison, and let me just say, you're going to move to this one next, right? About vibrancy. Vibrancy is an interesting term that we really chose to use here at Solle Naturals, believing that it hasn't really been used in this way before, but it seemed the best word to describe what Alison is trying to teach us here. That is that when the glandular system is coordinating, functioning as a whole, and when that is aligned with the nervous system and the other body systems, then things work as they should, and you could choose the word vibrancy or vibrant as the way you feel, because all body systems work at, I mean, we say a peak state, but I mean, peak state just means, as Alison puts it, the way the body was meant to work, helping it do what it's meant to do, which is pretty spectacular in terms of the way we smell and see and hear and taste and experience, feel. All those things are wonderful when things are working as they should. And you can think of, and I apologize for sort of the guy analogy here. And Alison, just jump in if you've got your drink of water. But this is a sort of a guy analogy. But think of tuning up a car and how, or in some cases where it's really major, you're sort of almost rebuilding the carburetor, and it functions in a way that it vibrates in a smooth and melodic way. There's a lot of strength and power and energy in that. And really, not just Solle Excell, but all of the Solle Naturals products, that is our aim, because we don't believe that we were meant to feel anything less than that, though we all go through periods where we feel better or worse, depending on what's going on around us. So vibrancy is something we chose to focus on specifically with Solle Excell, because it does address the glandular and nervous systems a little more directly, though it is still very broad because of the adaptogenic properties. And so I'll just say one last thing, Alison, and then turn it back to you. But when you look at how you feel in the moment, what you're experiencing in life, oxygen through respiration is a huge component in that. And it might be the component that is the most quickly affected when there's a change, a dramatic change in the way oxygen gets into our body, either through the air being highly polluted all of a sudden that we go into. You can change the way you feel rapidly, or if airways are restricted at all. There are so many different ways that oxygen is affected. I mean, we were sitting in a meeting early one morning a couple of days ago. My wife looked at one of the gentlemen that was up on the stand and said, he must have sleep apnea because he has the marks all over his face from the device that you wear, so that he can oxygenate properly and get the blood flow and oxygen flow as it should be. So in all of our formulas, but especially in Solle Excell, the focus on oxygenation and circulation are, if you look at the ingredients, they are a top tier purposeful component in the way we formulate. And that is also the case here with Solle Excell. Alison, did I go on too long, or back to you?
No, that's great. That's great. I want to add one little additional piece that's a little provocative, and that was one of the things I ran across just yesterday in my research that I thought was just right up my alley. I'm always on this thing about change your behavior, change your behavior. Well, it turns out that there's a study done in fish that shows that their behavior actually influences their levels of GnRH hormones. I found that really, really interesting. So when they are acting dominant, it makes it so that they have more GnRH. When they're subordinate, they have less. Are we okay on the sound system here?
Yeah, we're good, Alison.
Okay. So I'm glad you saw that, Greg. That's right where I was headed next, and I really appreciate that. I think that what we're both saying is really when you have the nutrients you need, your body operates more efficiently. You can work to heal the problems that come up as normal life impacts your body. You're very prepared for that. But when you create more problems than your normal life would give you, if you're, say, eating poorly, not exercising, sitting too much, you have dysregulated sleep, you're doing pro-inflammatory activities that will overwhelm your body in the long run, particularly when you do a whole bunch of them at once, drinking, smoking, sugaring, cheeseburgering, whatever it is, then your body has to fix those bigger problems before it can use its strength and resources to fix your regular problems. Your body prioritizes. So in this way, it's easy for regular body systems to become deficient because your body's too busy putting out the big fires. There are lots of pathways to get to this point. It's not like there's one pathway. It's not like, well, I guess I need to stop sugaring because everything else I'm doing isn't affecting it. it might be that, you could say, well, I'm not having enough zinc and that's the problem, or I'm drinking too much and that's the problem. And again, I'm back to my same old thing with the magic bullet. You can't think of it as a magic bullet. It's a systemic problem, a systemic opportunity. Another article that I've read recently that I found really interesting was talking about systemic medicine and how systemic medicine is shown to be useful on various problems. And one of the things they talked about was this approach of they didn't really say these words, but this is what I called it. It's like the kitchen sink approach, just throwing the kitchen sink at the problem and trying to get something to work. And the reason why this is advocated is because people are individual and lots of things influence lots of things. And so it's hard to be able to say, well, this one thing is going to work and pretend that it will work when people have so many more variables than a tightly controlled scientific experiment. And I'm kind of a fan of that too. I'm really interested in feeling better. And if I feel better, then I can have all the time in the world to dismantle what I did and figure out what exact treatment it was that really worked. What I really want to do is just feel better right away. So you want to think, how can you create the body that will last for you? So when, like Greg was saying, when things are good, things are good. When you're breathing well, that creates a tremendous amount of help in your body, all the way down to the cellular level. And so that respiratory piece of the Solle Excell is really critical to creating the kind of environment where you can be able to access better health overall. When you can access better health at the cellular level because you're getting enough oxygen, then you have the opportunity to improve your metabolism, and the nutrients that are given to your endocrine system will be able to make their way through the entire body. The nutrients that help your blood run more smoothly throughout your body will be able to travel, take in nutrients, take out the garbage. Everything else works well, and that's what we're looking at with that vibrancy idea. And so you can't really raise your body to a level of vibrancy that exceeds your capacity for excellent breathing, excellent circulation, and excellent endocrine and energy kind of connections. And I don't want to give you the impression that Maca is only about endocrine functioning, because it's certainly far more than that, but that's what I was functioning on here. So the Trimac of vibrancy is a big part of that. We talked a little bit about this in November. We'll talk about it another time in addition to what we talked about today. But I want to spend our last little bit focusing on the third part, the Soul Clear blend. It's really a fantastic blend, and the thing I kept thinking as I was preparing this webinar was, boy, do I need this stuff. Boy, I'm so glad we have it. Gosh, this is for me. It's for me. The respiratory system is critical. It's critical to our health. And so here are little bits of information about each one of the components of this respiratory blend. And again, like I said, you don't want to think about these as symptom approaches, like, oh, I need this because I have X. Instead, think about it as a systemic help. Overall, improving your health. These things work synergistically. They work together in a much better way than they work separately. So they're going to affect your body systemically and synergistically. So you can't think of it as, oh, I have Hashimotos. What do I take to fix this? That's not a systemic herbalism philosophy kind of approach. That's more of a symptom-driven approach. Okay, I think I've beat that dead horse enough, maybe not. We'll see next time.
And Alison, I want to jump in here and just mention, you said respiratory blend there, and all of these are including, to your point about the connectivity of all of this. So these first couple of herbs, and as you talk about circulation and butcher's broom and eyesight and how it all ties in, we call it one big blend, the Soul Clear blend, of which respiration is to me personally, admittedly it's selfish, is sort of the major component, but the other two are just as big a deal as well, the circulatory and the and really the eyesight in that issue. So anyway, back to you, Alison.
Thanks, Greg, and I appreciate you clarifying that point. Clarifying. Sorry, I can't help it. I probably, but I wouldn't. I'm not interested in helping it. Yeah, so it's a clarifying blend. It's an all clear, and when you think of respiration, you really want to think about it in a body way, not just your breathing, but your whole body moving. And so the Solle Clear, perfect. So butcher's broom is a beautiful, beautiful plant, first of all. It was used for butchers as a broom, so that's why it has the name. It has some other names, too. Knee holly, I think, is one of them. And like all plants, I almost don't even have to write it down that it's anti-inflammatory. But it's also used for arthritis, which I found, interesting. But of course, that makes sense because it's anti-inflammatory, and it helps manage your mucus, and it improves your breathing. It's vasoconstrictive. So those sorts of things all make sense, and you'll see this theme throughout these ingredients. They don't all do one thing. They're not like a whole bunch of things that do one thing, and they're in this group. They're really selected carefully. I think that Greg and Blake did a fantastic job here. So you've got circulation happening, increased blood flow to your legs, hands, brain. It helps varicose veins, of course, as it's tightening blood vessels, and it relieves edema. So it's helping, again, with circulation and multiple ways of clarifying the body there. Eyebright is typically thought of as this is to help your eyes, but it's more than just that. It's more than just help for the eyes. It is anti-inflammatory, again, vasoconstrictive, clears mucus, improves breathing. I think a lot of times people don't think of eyebright as improving breathing, but if you think about the actions of the plant, again, we're not talking about specific symptom focus. We're looking at overall action. And so the anti-inflammatory vasoconstrictive action is very beneficial to your eye, because it's helping with some of those little capillaries inside the eye. But it also is helpful for the whole body. Fennel reduces inflammation, again, big shocker, right? Healthy circulation, preventing clotting. This is a great antioxidant, and it's very calming for coughs. Mullen, lots of people know mullen. It's one of the more well-known herbs out there. When I first heard of mullen, I was sitting at my desk at Yale, and I was interviewing a woman for a job. And we're doing this thing where some of you who are connected to universities may know how they make you interview a certain number of candidates. And so it doesn't matter what you want to do or what you decide to do. There's just no way to be efficient about it. You're required to interview a certain number of people from a certain number of places. And so it's kind of like you just go through this little game of interviewing, and the people who are being interviewed know it. And so this woman walked into my office for an interview, and we just sat down and chatted. And she started talking to me about herbalism and how she loved herbs and how she thought mullen was great. And I had never really heard about it before. I was still really stuck in my conventional pre-herbalism days at Yale. Even though we were the mind-body center, we were still pretty conventional. So she told me about mullen and how you could find it at the side of the road. And I'm thinking to myself, really? The side of the road? That sounds so scary. Well, I don't know that I'd use the ones on the side of the road with all the exhaust on them, but mullen is fantastic. We're very well known for its respiratory help, again, with reducing inflammation, not just in your lungs. Again, it's not a specific symptom thing. It reduces inflammation all over the place. It's really well known for reducing inflammation within your ear, which is why sometimes people will use it to treat ear infections. Fenugreek, we know this for lowering blood sugar. It also boosts growth hormone. So some of the things that I was seeing in the Solle Clear blend also have effects on your endocrine system because they're clarifying the whole body. Again, we're looking at a holistic action here, not just specifics. Helping your allergies, improving libido, again, for the same reasons, you're increasing your health. Celery, I thought celery is great with hummus and logs and ants. Anybody like that? Okay. Thanks. I like a laugh there. Antispasmodic properties with celery. Celery is great if your stomach is not feeling very well or you're having trouble with a lot of pain or discomfort, IBS kind of things. Try some celery. That's pretty soothing to your stomach. And so some of that's the antispasmodic properties. It contains this luteolin, which prevents cognitive decline. It's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, but this luteolin is something that people are really excited about now. And again, it's back to do this and it will help. It's the magic bullet. But again, we know it's just overall nutrition. If you can get really good nutrition and you can clear out the body so the impediments are no longer there, then you can rely on your body to function the way it's supposed to. And finally, bilberry. Bilberry helps with varicose veins, again, because it's a vasoconstrictor, will strengthen those blood vessels and improves the circulation. In addition to the eyebright, bilberry also is known particularly for eye health because strengthening those tiny capillaries and the inflammation reduction. And I thought this was also interesting about bilberry. It can neutralize E. coli. So drinking a lot of bilberry juice is really helpful for, preventing urinary tract infections, that sort of thing. Very soothing for your digestion. And then quercetin. Quercetin isn't a food, right? It's a flavonoid that is taken from food products. There are various ones that have it. Apples are known for quercetin and other things. It's a major, major player in preventing allergies. So now it's the end of February, and allergy season for many of us is sort of right around the corner. What you want to do with quercetin is build it up in your system for maybe a month and a half before allergies hit. And so what you want to do is start drinking this stuff every day now. So prepare now for spring allergies and see if Excel helps you with those allergies. I would love to hear your experience. If right now taking this will help you at the end of April or the middle of April, or here in the Northeast, we're expecting 15 more inches of snow next week, so it may be a while for us. So again, to review, we're talking about a total health approach with the Clarify. You want to enhance your own vibrancy. And I look forward to hearing from you how you're enhancing your vibrancy experience using Solle Excell. Thanks so much. Greg, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Alison, and thanks everyone for joining with us tonight. I noticed there's a question on chat, the quercetin source in this formula. I'm not sure. Blake can let you know that. Blake, if you're still on, maybe you can chat that. If he doesn't know it off the top of his head, then he'll get it to you. We'll mail it to you. Because you obviously, I just honestly, I can't remember which natural source it is either. So we'll get that answer to you. Thanks, everyone. I hope that this webinar helped tonight. We are planning in the future, I've asked Dr. Caldwell-Andrews if she would do a little more training specific to Maca in a future webinar, and also specific to Kupawasu. She really spent some time on the Soul Clear blend tonight and its purposes. We are hearing and seeing wonderful things in the very short time that Solle Excell has been on the market. Just a wonderful addition to the Soul line. It does represent the third of 4 key mind-body balancing drinks. The fourth will be launched right around convention as we introduce our Calm drink that will come in a blue box, and then we'll have all 4 of those. We just want you to know, as Dr. Caldwell-Andrews says, we look at this philosophically from a very holistic point of view. Each formula is formulated both mind and body, and the line itself is formulated to work together in a wonderful way. So we hope that you're achieving some great health results for yourself. We want to thank you for sharing the Soul products with others. We know that Soul can make a world of difference in really thousands and thousands of lives, and that is our goal and our passion, and we know you share that. So we thank you for being part of that Soul family with us. So everyone, that will conclude our webinar tonight. Again, thank you for coming, and we will talk to you soon. Good night.